Our favorite Springfieldian family has always seemed to have a knack for predicting the future. When you make that much television, you're bound to write something that happens in real life somewhere down the road. Art imitates life, and in turn, life imitates art. Some folks might call this predictive programming, or maybe claim that it's an insidious plot to keep us complacent in the changes happening around us. I call it a bunch of TV writers doing their best to come up with wacky scenarios every week. Potato, potato, I guess. For whatever reason, folks really jumped on the latest wave of Simpsons prediction conspiracy theories, and with that, lots of wild stuff has been linked to the show. Whether you believe it all or simply think that it's a coincidence, there's no denying the appeal of looking to a popular cartoon for a potential glimpse into humanity's future. We've seen all sorts of predictions seemingly come true over the past few years, and folks are flabbergasted by the idea that the folks at Fox were ready for so long. Take the recent Kamala Harris-Lisa Simpson connection. The purple suit caused a whole lot of synapses to fire across the internet, and I don't think some folks will ever stop talking about it. And if we delve back even deeper into presidential conspiracies, what about that time The Simpsons predicted the Trump presidency? Sure, it was played for a gag, but somehow this television businessman made his way into the White House. So for all of the predictions they've made, including the apocalypse, so-called, on Inauguration Day, some are still outstanding. They can't get them all right after all, but there are a few that really do feel like they could be accomplished in the next little while, whether they're technological advances, insane political maneuvers, or wild twists of fate that will affect vast swaths of people. So let's get right into the predictions that might come true in 2022. Are we really already 3/4 through 2021? Time sure does fly when you spend all of it on the internet. Godspeed. So the first prediction I want to analyze today is from the episode titled Lisa's Wedding, where the writers quite literally take a look into their characters' futures. The Simpsons family is thrust forward a couple dozen years, and we get to see them all grown up. Marge and Homer are looking significantly older, and Bart, Lisa, and Maggie are now full-grown adults at this point. And of course, as the title suggests, Lisa is getting married, to a Brit no less. The family takes a trip to England to meet their new in-laws-to-be, and during their stay they encounter all sorts of wacky predictions concerning what the future might look like. One of the most iconic and oft-referenced things from this future London is Big Ben, the famous clock tower striking out the hours for all to hear. Back before personal timepieces were commonplace, many people had to rely on things like clock towers to even know what time it was. We've really changed things up since then, as time is more important than ever when it comes to running businesses that are reliant on international cooperation and digital platforms. With this in mind, you can turn your attention to the newly digitized Big Ben, sporting a clock face that looks like it belongs on a Casio. It does away with a lot of the analog charm and history associated with the tower, doesn't it? But it's more efficient, so why not make the jump? Then you can have everyone sync up their personal clocks to Big Ben via Wi-Fi, and nobody can be late for anything ever again unless you want to try and make an excuse that works around this newly efficient system. Of course, it's doubtful that Big Ben will ever be fully made digital. There's too much history there, too much tourism potential. However, with the way things are going right now, digital seems to be rapidly overtaking analog in all sorts of ways. More people rely on digital, centralized clocks to plan their lives, whether that means using a phone clock or the one on their laptop. Watches have largely become accessories or jewelry unless they can be used for step counting or connecting to the internet. I haven't been in a classroom for a while, so I can't really tell you the last time I saw a proper wall clock. Billboards are opting to become enormous LCD screens to maximize the amount of ads they can display. All of this to keep things connected and seemingly integrated. So what's to say some hotshot in tech wouldn't suggest that Big Ben be brought into the age of information? As we speak, Big Ben is undergoing some renovations too. That's right, in 2017 the bells were silenced, the dials were scheduled to be reglazed, lighting was set to be upgraded, and a lift was even planned to be added. No public announcements about digitizing the display, but nothing is certain, right? And guess when this upgrade is due to be finished? 2022. There's still the possibility that Big Ben could be shaped into the form we witnessed on The Simpsons' quasi-canonical foray into the future. Speaking of technology run rampant, let's move on to the next possible prediction. We've seen a lot of wonderful advances in tech over the past few decades, bringing us levels of luxury and efficiency we could previously only dream of. Of course, this kind of advancement is a double-edged sword, with every benefit bringing along some sort of damage or detriment. The more nice things we have, the more garbage we produce. The more comfortable our homes and workplaces are thanks to air conditioning and fuel-powered energy, the more damage we could do to the environment. Plenty of greener options are available for consumers and businesses alike, but the profit motive of using the cheaper, dirtier methods remains. With the way things are going, we could very well end up with a bit of an environmental disaster on our hands. It's slowly working up to Armageddon right now, with many irreversible milestones about to be reached, but that kind of slow march towards doom is easy to ignore. If someone were to, say, dump a large amount of hazardous waste into the water supply or set off some sort of reaction that burns up enormous tracts of land, then we'd have to do something. Folks have tried fighting the fires set by gender reveal parties and in the ocean, and done their best to clean up oil spills, but it's tough. Wouldn't it be easier if we just contained the disaster so the rest of the world could breathe easy? Well, the Simpsons predicted just such an event occurring and came up with an ingenious solution. Put a dome over it. You might remember this from the Simpsons movie way back when. After Homer dumps all of his pet pig's droppings into a local waterway, things get bad fast. Thus, a wonderful, benevolent government official decides that the best option is to totally quarantine that area in the most literal way possible. Dome. I wouldn't be surprised if it happened next year, to be completely honest. All it takes is one dude stockpiling crude oil in Rubbermaid containers, dumping his stash into the river. Or maybe an NFT farm will catch fire so spectacularly no one can hope to put it out. And to cap off our predictions for the day, why not go with the classic Billionaire blocks out the sun bit. Stranger things have and will continue to happen. In the episode Who Shot Mr. Burns, the titular nuclear power plant owner decides that he would make a whole lot more money if no one could experience the sun's rays. To ensure that his nuclear-powered electricity was sold as a monopoly, he erects an enormous device meant to literally block out the sun, plunging Springfield into darkness. Although I don't think anybody today would be able to pull this off for political, technological, and general moral reasons, we have seen major corporations do their best to keep monopolies thriving so that customers pay out the nose for something they could otherwise get for next to nothing. Nestle diverting water, bottling it, and selling it back to people at a profit seems to be about equivalent, doesn't it? Well, going back to literally blocking out the sun, I again don't think someone will put a machine on Earth to do it. I can see this going one of two ways. Option 1, we continue to wreck the environment and produce massive amounts of waste and fumes. Eventually, smog and smoke manage to semi-permanently settle in our atmosphere, stopping the full rays of the sun from ever reaching the surface. Sounds like fun. Option 2 involves all these billionaires continuing their personal space race to the point where satellites orbiting Earth are simply too plentiful. We'll start seeing the blanket of machines from the surface, and soon enough they'll cross over the sun like clouds on an overcast day. It might not be intentional on the surface anywhere, but if this happens, a billionaire will have blocked out the sun. The future, everyone. So that just about sums up the Simpsons predictions I could see happening in the far-off year of 2022. History seems to be moving faster than ever these days, although I think that does have something to do with the fact that we're always chronicling everything from every conceivable angle. Wild how that works, right? So what do you think of these predictions? Rooted in reality or some ridiculous sci-fi nonsense? Make sure you let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.